Hello guys and happy Tuesday again. So in today's video I wanted to do something a little bit different again because I tend to get quite a few questions, whether that's people DMing me on Instagram or just commenting on my YouTube videos, just really asking me about things to do with personal finances and what I would do in their situation. So I thought, why not do a video just talking through some of the scenarios or some of the questions that I tend to get. So hopefully it will help some of you guys out, and obviously if you do have any other questions, feel free to follow me on Instagram because we do tend to do a lot of polls as well and we do tend to talk a lot more there, but also you can always comment on my videos as well. So I've just realized that I don't even have my tea yet, so let me just go and make my tea quickly before I start with this video and answer the questions, because really this is just something that I love doing. But before that, I did also want to mention that a lot of you guys will know that I do love talking to people about their personal finances and really just helping them on their journey. So I am going to be developing a program, and it's really going to be helping working millennials just actually focus on their personal finances and start to master their money and really create a money plan step by step. So I do actually have a survey that I will link in the description below and in the comments as well, if you are interested in, for me to just really understand, you know, the struggle that you might be having when it comes to your finances, particularly if you are a working millennial. And in exchange, I will be selecting 5 lucky people to have a call with me to really just go through your personal finances and go through your struggles and see how I can actually help you out. So that is going to be completely free of charge, and that call is usually valued at around £250. So definitely make sure you fill out the survey if you think that you will benefit from it. And of course, as mentioned, I will link that in the description below for you and in the comment section as well. But enough of that, let's just walk through some of the questions that I tend to get when it comes to things like personal finance. One of the questions I tend to get is, do I actually stick to a budget? Now, this has always been an interesting question because I tend to obviously show you guys my budget for the month, but the question you might always have is, do I actually stick to that budget by the end of the month? And to be honest, I would probably say yes. And the reason why is because even if I do overspend in some areas, which does happen by the way, like my budget is not always perfect, I will try to underspend in another area just so it kind of balances out. So as an example, let's say that I've overspent my eating out budget by about £10. What I will then do is actually look through my budget and see, you know, what other areas I can then try to spend £10 less on. So in this example, I might decide, actually, instead of me spending about £65 on my groceries budget, I might try to spend £55 just because I've overspent in that one area. So that's really why I don't tend to overspend with my budget overall, just because, again, if I overspend in one area, then I will try to underspend in another area. Or worst case scenario, if I do slightly overspend somewhere, then I will of course use my pennies jar, because that's usually used as my mini emergency fund. Now for me, even though I absolutely love budgeting, I would say that I am not like a completely strict person when it comes to budgeting. The main reason for that is because I know that I've already paid myself first. So I've paid my tithes, I've put money into my savings, I've already invested that money. So even if I do tend to overspend in like one area, I'm not really too bothered because I've already paid myself first. So that's why I'm not completely strict, and I think that's been like maybe a mindset thing. But again, that's probably why I enjoy budgeting, because I don't feel very restrictive, because once I've already paid myself first, I can literally just spend the rest of my money on whatever I want. And if you didn't know, how I budget my money is actually using my own budget template, which is something that you can currently use if you want to. So if you are interested in a monthly budget template or a weekly budget template, then definitely check that out. I will of course link that in the description below for you, because you can basically get that from my Etsy store. And remember, if you're liking this content so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel, and I'm sure you already know, but it's free. And then the other question I tend to get is, am I a fan of buying a house? Now this has always been interesting because I think I've done a couple of videos where I talk through, you know, whether you want to buy a house or should you buy a house, or should you rent, for example. I know I've done a video on that, and to be honest, my sort of thing is I'm definitely a fan of buying a house, but I am a fan of buying a house that you can afford. So that's really where I do try to challenge people, because I do think that sometimes we're really just focused on trying to buy the house, but we haven't actually set our financial foundation first. So even if you are saving up for a deposit, for example, have you got an emergency fund? Have you got rid of your high interest debt? Those are the questions I would be asking first before you actually go and embark on buying a house, because you would be surprised at some of the things you might have to pay for essentially when you do buy that house. And if you don't have any cash, then you could end up being in debt. So again, I definitely wouldn't say there's a problem with someone trying to buy a house, especially if that's part of their goals. Particularly if you've watched my video where it talks about my beginner investment plans, then you will see a part of that plan is to buy our own residential house. And if you haven't watched that, I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But essentially what I'm trying to say is I would encourage you to really set your financial foundation first. Make sure that you can actually afford to buy the house so that you're not house rich, life poor. And also the other thing that I would say is, when it comes to actually buying your own residential house, I really see that and treat that as very separate to things like investment. So for example, in my case, I don't really see my house as an investment. I see my house as a place to live, and if it was to increase in value, then great, that's happy days. But for me, that's just going to be a bonus. So personally, for me, I would treat it completely separate to like things like investments or buy-to-let properties or anything like that. But again, that's just my personal opinion and just, I guess, how my mindset works as well. The other questions I tend to get is whether I should actually pay off my debt or start investing. Now, if you didn't know, I do currently have a video on that, so I will link that in the description below for you. But again, I always say it's going to depend on your personal circumstances, and it's going to depend on the debt as well. So for example, if you were to just have student loans, particularly if you are in the UK, then maybe I would probably prioritize investing, depending again on the level of income, how much you're paying when it comes to student loans, and whether it would make sense for you to overpay it or not. But if you have things like high interest debt, so for example credit card debt, I would always prioritize trying to pay that off, because again, if you are paying 15% to your credit card company but you're only able to get a 10% return, which is still great in terms of your investments, but again, remembering that's not even a guaranteed return. So in my opinion, I would probably always be paying off the credit card before I even think about investing, particularly if there is a high interest rate. Then another question I tend to get is, what are my thoughts on cryptocurrency? Now, I think this is always an intriguing question, and I know there are going to be some diehard fans on cryptocurrency, and there are going to be some people that absolutely hate it. What I would actually say is I do actually see value in cryptocurrency, and I do think that it's going to be a part of our lives, a part of our future. But what I would say is that I wouldn't invest in something that I don't understand, and I think a lot of people are investing in cryptocurrency. So for example, Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Dogecoin, however you want to call it, or Ethereum, a lot of people are investing it to make a quick buck and to get rich quick, rather than actually seeing the value in it or because they actually believe it. So that's really where I would challenge you if you are currently investing in it, especially if you don't understand it. Personally, for me, I don't tend to invest in things that I don't understand, and I haven't really dedicated time to really understand cryptocurrency, so it's something that I don't currently invest in, but I do think that there is going to be some value. So again, what I would be challenging is, are you currently wanting to invest in it because you want to make a quick buck, or because you see people making a lot of money, or is it because you genuinely believe in it? But again, it's something where it's very volatile as well, so do make sure you are doing your research, guys, because it's actually really important. And if I was to invest in something like Bitcoin, for example, I would not be chucking my whole life savings into that. I would genuinely be putting a little small proportion of my portfolio if I was to invest in it. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm definitely not telling you what to invest in, but I would really just challenge you to think about how much you're putting in if you are currently investing in it, and if you really do understand it as well. And another popular question I tend to get is, what's the best place for me to put my savings if I'm saving up for a house, as an example? Now, when you look at the interest rate that banks are willing to offer when it comes to savings accounts, they are actually diabolical. Like honestly, most of them, I don't even know if I've managed to find one that's like over 1%, unless it's something where you actually have to lock your money in. So it is quite difficult, and obviously it does mean that technically you are losing money to inflation. But to be honest, at this point in time, I personally would not want to invest it, particularly if you're looking to buy your house within the next, say, 5 years. Just because, for example, when it comes to the stock market, you're not always guaranteed to make money, and the longer you leave it, the more likely you're going to get those returns. If you were to just do it very short term, the stock market can be quite volatile. So for me personally, I would probably just be keeping it in the savings account, although knowing that you're probably going to lose that money to inflation. It's just something that I would just accept. There's also some things like premium bonds as well, so I know that's something that people tend to use, but again, you're not always guaranteed to win that money as well. But again, savings accounts or premium bonds are probably going to be your best bet, depending on how long you're actually saving for. Then another question I tend to get is, do I think that everyone should strive for financial independence? And the answer is yes. I do think that everyone should be striving for financial independence. Now, being aware that I am not telling people that they should just quit their job and they should stop working and things like that. I think people really misunderstand what financial independence means. But what I'm saying is that I want everyone to have that financial security, so that if anything happened where they lost their income overnight, for example, that they would be fine because they are financially independent. And to be honest, I think everyone would be relieved, or just at least be able to sleep more at night, because they know that they're financially independent. Now, if you didn't know, I do actually have a couple of videos really talking through what financial independence means, if you've never heard of that term. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I will of course link that up here for you and in the description below. But essentially, yes, I do actually think everyone should be working towards financial independence. And then the other question I've got, which has probably been linked to the poll that I asked on Instagram, but it's basically, how has marriage affected my finances, and whether I have actually joint finances with my husband. Now, I think we may do a separate video on this if you guys are interested, so definitely let me know in the comments below know if you do think that's something that you might like to see. But in terms of how it's affected it, to be honest, I would say that we kind of already had this conversation before we got married, so we had already planned to join our finances. But again, what I will probably do is just do a separate video just really talking through exactly what we joined. If that's something that you guys are interested, if you guys aren't interested, I won't do the video, but I would definitely say it's something that we discussed. And I guess it's just because when I see marriage, we are basically one, so essentially what's mine is yours. That's really just how my mind works. But yeah, I would say it's not impacted me negatively. It's actually been quite positive, just because we are able to really combine our finances and actually start saving more and just really try to achieve our goals. So yeah, I've just been really happy with that. But again, I will try and do a future video on that if you guys would like. And then the other question that I've received may not actually be personal finance related, but it's kind of linked, and it's what are my future plans when it comes to this channel. Now again, I always love this question because it just makes me think about the long term in terms of what I do want to do with my side hustle and my business. So again, as I mentioned before in this video, I am really looking to develop a program, just because I do think that even though people may see the content in terms of my YouTube channel or maybe even my Instagram posts, a lot of people may not actually take action, or they may struggle in terms of knowing what they should be doing step by step. So that's really why I'm developing the program. So really that's something that I envision happening over the next few months. And to be honest, I've already been working with clients and they've really found it helpful, and they've just really had a transformation in terms of their confidence and actually understanding how money works and what they actually need to prioritize. So again, make sure you do fill in that questionnaire if that's something that you might be interested in. In terms of other future plans for my channel, I mean, there are some things that I don't necessarily want to mention yet because I'm still currently working through exactly what I want to do over the next few months. So I'll definitely keep you informed when that does really happen. So I've definitely been enjoying it so far. And if you guys do actually have any topic ideas or just things that you want me to cover, definitely let me know either in the comments or feel free to DM me on Instagram as well. I mean, I do get a few more questions, but I think I'm gonna leave it here for now. If this is something that you guys liked, so if you did actually enjoy the video, definitely let me know in the comments. And if you think it's something that I should maybe do in the future, maybe I do it like every couple of months, definitely let me know. But apart from that, if you did like this video, then feel free to give it a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if there are any other questions you want me to address as well. I do post every Tuesday and Friday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on Friday.